Well, excuse me. Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. My name is Gabrielle. Let me tell you what the show is about in case you are new to the show. And if you are not new to the show, this is just a quick reminder. But Hot Topics is the platform where I like to talk about real topics with real people about real things, right? So we tend to talk about things in education, employment, mental health, physical health, anything else that is steamy with the intention of you learning something, right? So think of this as a educational show or a teaching mechanism. I'm trying to think of the words to say, but the whole purpose is I want you to learn something by the end of this show, and that's why I like to do these shows. Is I'm teaching you things, and I want you guys to learn. And today is no different. So I am looking forward to this conversation. I definitely want to see where this goes. So I'm just going to go ahead and jump right into it. So the topic today is a very popular topic. It's out there. So I wanted to get into the craze a little bit. So the topic today is what is artificial intelligence? So you may have been paying attention to the news, to the radio, to Twitter, Facebook, all the social media. There's all this buzz about AI, which is artificial intelligence for short. There's all this buzz about it. There's all this talk about it. So let's get right into it. So we're going to talk about that. What is it? What is artificial intelligence? And I have a guest with me who is actually returning to Hot Topics. She is a repeat guest, and she is coming back to, not is, but she has come back to the show to talk about this very topic. So her name is Danielle Meadows-Stinnett. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. And I'm just going to tell you briefly about who she is. Bear with me. It's actually on my phone. I'm a little bit of a hot mess today. All right. So Danielle is the owner of Octane Design Studios, which is a 13-year-old branding and identity firm based in the heart of the Bluegrass. And she has 14 years of marketing experience. She is a grassroots developer and curator, and brands and she helps many brands launch over 100 local businesses across America, 2/3 of which happen to be in Kentucky. And she is a tech girl through and through. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring her to the stage. Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you for coming back on Hot Topics. You were with me before talking about what is a podcast, right? So make
Yes.
sure you guys check out that previous episode. And now you are back talking about artificial intelligence. So, um, oh, good question. We have a comment here. Good question. All right,
Yay.
thank you, Denise. All right, so what? So let's just get right into it, right? So,
Yes.
what is it? What is artificial intelligence?
Well, obviously, AI is short for artificial intelligence, but it's a field of science that combines computer science and robust data sets to enable problem solving. So, in short, this is a generated supercomputer that allows us to think quicker and work smarter.
That's it.
That's AI. I mean, it's real simple, but you wouldn't believe how often and how much the outside world and the outside influences have really warped that basic definition to make it more of like a horror story or make it more of like it's coming for us like sort of feel. And there's a lot of things that can kind of extend that story further, but really it's just an extended hand to help us do jobs quicker and faster, more efficiently.
So where do we find it? What forms does it take? Tell us the basic stuff.
Oh man, like that's an infinite question. So I feel like nowadays AI has taken such a huge part of different types of industries, especially in the tech industry, but even in the day to day for small businesses, you can now have a bot check the inventory levels of your warehouse without you physically going to ask a single person. You can in your hand double check levels of inventory. You can check technology. You can check quotes. You can have a conversation with multiple customers at one time. So I feel like AI has really leveled up in a lot of areas when it comes to wanting to helping service small businesses do their jobs more efficiently and faster.
So now, what's so scary about it?
Now, this is the question, right? I feel like this is the part where we have to put our head before our heart, right? And in a lot of areas, science, the advancement of technology can be a little bit scary, right? It is unpredictable. It doesn't necessarily have a quick, always go to. But what we have learned over time is that technology actually enhances and really improves the longevity of our life, the systems that we work with, the people that we want to support through the jobs that we create. So over time, science has kind of proven that it does work and it can benefit our lives. But specifically in the realm of AI and specifically in the realm of things like chat GTP and things along those lines, it really increases our productivity, allows us to again work smarter, not harder in a lot of areas. And I do believe that for a lot of people, that part is scary because that can look like quote unquote replacing of things. And I really want to address that head on and let people know up front like this is something that you should not necessarily be scared of. Maybe take it as more of like the next adventure into the next level, into the next chapter of what technology can do in this human landscape that we live in.
So now, what about things like deep fakes and well, which is like people taking your face and
Yes.
actually copying your voice and making videos and technology replicating you, right? So
Mhm.
what about things like that?
Yes, absolutely. With every positive, there's going to be a little bit of a negative. That's just life. I do believe over decades of time, as we've seen technology enhance. Remember when dial-up internet was becoming a thing, and everyone was freaking out because dial-up internet was like, now we can talk to people instantly. When AOL came out with instant messenger and chat rooms and all the things, there was a great sense of positivity that came with that, but there's also a lot of backlash, right? The security parts, the do we know who we're talking to really parts, right? That's always going to be a stigma with technology overall. But I do feel like obviously when you're hitting up people or people are stealing your voice, we see that now in like in memes, right? People are using the Johnny Depp voice and they're they're making all kinds of outlandish, a little bit louder uses of technology for entertainment purposes. Then this becomes, we got to start putting some barriers and things in place. Now, I didn't say that technology was so great because it was so free and open for all. I just said it was a great tool to use. Technology is a tool. So it's all about the wielder. That's really where the accountability, that's where the ethics comes in. It's all about the wielder who's using the tool to do the thing.
So I guess it does. I see the goods and the bads because
Mhm.
for I use when putting like audio clips together, it's I use products that use AI, artificial intelligence. So I
Me
find
too.
it helpful for businesses, for social media promotion.
Mhm.
I guess it does kind of freak me out when it's like it's taking words and common phrases and mannerisms that people are saying and kind of putting it together and making this accurate depiction of 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 the human. I'm trying to figure out the word, but
Sure.
replicate the human spectrum, right?
Mhm.
So I guess it is kind of freaky in that
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's collecting data pretty much, and it's
Mhm.
putting it together, and it is kind of it so it does kind of freak me out in a way, in that and I feel like it's tracking us, and
Yeah, let's
and it's
mhm.
spitting out information that people are then taking, and then it's spitting it out again. So it's tracking our words. It's the way that we say things, and
Yes, tone,
cult,
absolutely.
subtle cultural differences, and it's collecting all of that, right,
Mhm.
to and then just kind of spitting it back out. So I guess that kind of freaks me out a bit about artificial intelligence. So what is your response to that?
I tell people every single day, like, technology is great, but it has to be wielded again in, like, in the right way. And I really want to speak to how that is scary, right? We've come from a place where face recognition, right? That was like a huge wave of new technology that was coming out, and that was kind of scary. And people were using it, again, like, government officials even were using it in a way that was not necessarily the best light. Um, Slapping on, criminal charges on people that weren't really even in the room, based on facial recognition, leaning on technology to carry that out. And technology doesn't have all the right answers, but it produces the answers. And again, I kind of go back to this. It's the wielder, right? It's the person who's putting the information out. But I do lean on the truth that technology is, in a lot of ways, a good thing. It helps a lot of people do a lot of different things that they normally could not do otherwise. So I kind of lean on that, but I totally see, like, there is a ton of negative things that come from the access of too much technology or the access to too much information. So yeah, I encourage people, like, if this is something that you feel like is overwhelming in some areas, take it one step at a time, do something small. I mean, at this point, when you go to your grocery checklist and you're finding your groceries that you did, there is some level of technology or AI that went ahead of you and said, hey, you already purchased these items before. You want to purchase them again. Just accepting those little things, right? In the Whole Foods app or in your, your local grocery app or whatever. Those are little things that technology is doing. It's remembering the things that you are doing to make it easier for you to do something. So again, there's a small scale to that, and there's a much larger scale to that. But I do attest to the fact that technology definitely helps us move forward in that direction. There's just some ways, obviously, that technology doesn't understand those certain perimeters of security and barriers. And we're working on that so that more people can come to use technology for everyday living.
So let's get into that. So what are things that, and this might seem like a silly question, but what do we use technology for? That is,
Oh
that
man.
if we didn't have it, life would be harder. So when I hear things like, "Oh, technology makes things easier for us," like what? What does technology make easier for us?
Oh man, where do I start? I mean, for me, it's it's the click up groceries. Like, I need all the support there. I love using AI for my work. So there's a plethora of different apps that I would use regularly, that uses things like Chat GTP and other AI tools, other AI platforms that are really neat. I mean, there's a whole list. Where do I even start? Like, if you're looking for stuff for podcasting, as I was recently on the show for, prior to this, was talking about podcasting. There's a ton of podcasting apps that you can use, specifically using AI, that can help you do your job better. I mean, there are tons of little things that we can do every single day when we're using our Amazon Ring. The basics of technology. There's a level of AI that is involved on that platform. So, I mean, I could definitely spit off several apps if you want me to go that direction. I mean, the list is long. We could go like Framer, which is AI, designing your own website. Like, you text to prompt it. Like, hi, I would like to create a 3-page website that highlights about me on graphic design, and podcasting and influencer marketing. And it will literally branch out. Okay, how do you want that to look? What colors do you want to use? It will go through the gamut. And AI is creating all of that for you based on the style that you like. Let's talk about graphic design, because Brandmark is killing it right now. That's AI, literally AI generator to that allows you to create your own logo, and it's fully copyrighted. I mean, and it's cheap. Can I just say that out loud? Like, you could not even use me, and have that accessibility to you. And then there's other tools that I love using, like Swell AI, which is a transcription and automated articles generator that uses AI to take one piece of information. Let me get in camera. One piece of information, and it takes it and breaks it down into all these different pieces: a LinkedIn article, a Facebook post, a blog article. This could have been a YouTube video, and it broke it down into all these different things. Then you can ask it more questions like, hey, how can I make this better? Or, hey, how can I make this fit for this medium that's not even listed? And it will actually generate the copy and everything that you need to make that happen. AI definitely excites me in a lot of ways because you can use it to wield a lot of things in a short amount of time, which is one of the greatest features. And I feel like one of the greatest assets of using technology is to shorten the time that you use working and applying that energy towards something else. And that is like key checkbox for me.
Awesome, awesome. All right, you got some love here. Just want to shout it out. So much knowledge drop. Thanks,
Hey,
Danielle
Priscilla.
Meadows-Stinnett.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yay.
So you mentioned Chat GPT. What is that?
Mhm. So, chat is literally like a natural language processing tool. Again, technology is a tool, we just wield it. And so, Chat GTP has been one of the longest ones in the game that has been taking our language, processing it, redirecting it, and rewriting it. In ways that helps us do a lot of things faster, whether that's problem solving, now it's critical thinking, now it's ethics, things along those lines. That really gets me pumped up because it allows us to use technology in a more positive way to solve problems that are helping everyday Americans do what they love to do more, whether that's working harder, playing harder, thinking harder. For different types of scenarios and situations. So I love using Chat GTP for everyday purposes like writing captions for shows. We love show notes, all the things that we do on a normal basis in and around podcasting. But I use it for captions for social media. I use it to help me with transcribing videos that I could share later on YouTube or any other video platform. I love being able to do automated voiceovers. Maybe I don't want to use my voice today and I want to use a different voice. Maybe I want the Johnny Depp voice to transcribe my video. I have the ability to do that now. So again, working smarter, not harder, and working within a constrained amount of time so that I can share my energy in other areas of life that I want to use it for.
So, I mean, the way it works is it's you give a few prompts like I wanna post about
Mhm.
um baking a cake, and then it will make that post for you pretty much.
Absolutely. There's so many different prompts that you can use. For beginners, I always tell them to start with explain a topic in simple terms and explain it to me as if I'm a beginner. That's one of the basic ways that you can start using Chat GTP. Of course, I love both the premium and the free features. The free stuff right now is infinite. You can ask it anything. It'll hold on to the history of things that you ask so you can come back to it later. This is a game changer for people who are using marketing in any way, shape, or form, that you have the ability to go back to previous things that you've asked and then use that information. I use it a lot for research purposes. Marketing research is huge and it has the ability to collect data that I'm not necessarily always in access of, but I can ask it to ask to get access of. So that helps a lot, right? There's also different prompts that you can say to rewrite some things. So say you are looking to launch a product really soon and you're like not the aficionado, right, for anything type of marketing or launching language of any kind. You can simply ask ChatGTP, based on this information, can you rewrite it to make it sound like this, or rewrite it to make it work for an X amount of people or a certain type of demographic that you're trying to reach. That is something that has really been beneficial to me as I'm starting to work more with influencer marketing, understanding metrics, things along those lines. So I love problem solving. So that's a big one for us as a designer, as a creative. That's what we do. Visually, we solve problems. And so I love being able to use Chat GTP in a way that allows us to problem solve, but it also allows us to think ahead and get ahead, specifically around our local competitors.
So, what is your response to the argument that it's making people lazy and that, well, it's practically doing the work for you, right? So, there's no initial thought, there's no effort. It's someone else's words, technically, right? So, it's not your own words. So, what do you say to the argument that it's really inauthentic in a
Yeah,
way because it's not your words, it's someone else's words.
I completely agree. Now, when I say this, I agree that the fact that ChatGTP takes other information and uses it to create your information, right? But in the grand scope of all things, there is no original idea anymore. Let me just say that the
Mm-hmm.
original idea is gone. So that bubble needs to be popped when we start thinking about that for the aspect of originality. So I take that and say, okay, how can I make it sound more like myself? So I don't necessarily verbatim copy and paste. I know a lot of people do, but I try not to at all. I really try to include my tone. For me, that's being a retro gamer. That's being nerdy, black, and sassy. So I absolutely love the fact that I can incorporate my own language and my own tone with the information that's given to me from ChatGTP. And that's really what I encourage to anyone who's using this for the first time or the 50th time. That's how you make it your own. That's how you put your carbon digital thumbprint on each of these prompts and pieces, is going back in and adding your tone.
Wait, so how do you do that? How do you go back in? So you mean after, after chat GPT spits out whatever it spits out, to then go back and tweak it to
Yep.
sound more like you?
Absolutely. There's times where I literally tell ChatGPT to literally, hey, do you mind rewriting this so that it sounds like a witty, sassy graphic designer in her mid 30s? Yes, I do. Yes, no problem. And it tells me absolutely it can, and it does. There's other times when I literally take the copy and paste myself and I add in my own pieces of tone to make it more original. That is a level of ingenuity that Chat GTP will never technically have. It will never have that part. So that part you have to incorporate in, especially when you're using your marketing and things along those lines. Because AI can be cold, right? Like it can be like she can be not as welcoming. And so sometimes it's a little bit easier for us to just take what she's created and put that directly into our language to make it a little easier. But I will say ChatGTP does a really close job at making sure that we set the prompt up to make it sound as if it was coming directly from us.
All right. So then you don't think it's replacing people, replacing jobs, because all these things that we use it for, technically we hire other people to use it for. So is it taking away jobs?
It is. It is taking away jobs, but I feel like in some areas, it's also allowing an opportunity for the people who feel like they're losing their jobs to re strategize and rethink about the direction and strategy they're using for their job. And I'll give you an example. We have tons of people who write podcast show notes for us. They have been amazing with us, but since AI, we've been slimming that fat quite a bit because we have AI now that recreates and sets up its own show notes. So, in this particular area, this is not necessarily a job that's gone, but now this allows this person to wield this technology to learn this new technology so they can do their job more. More and more volume, right? Instead of doing 5 podcasts and notes, show notes in a day, now they can do 10. Now they can do 25 because they could wield this technology to do this job a little bit faster and harder. So I definitely, yes, is it taking a job? Yes, it is taking some of the task codes of some of these jobs that are out there, but this is a great opportunity again to level up and upskill so that you can do the same job that you're doing in more volume.
I mean, I hear what you're saying about you can put out twice as much. It could be faster. Just because something you could do more of something, that you could do something in more speed, something faster. The more, the faster, just because you could produce more doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean it's beneficial.
This is true. And this is where I feel like we could again add our own thumbprint in that process. So again, not necessarily using AI to completely wash out our system, but using AI and incorporate it with our system so they're still getting the same SaaS, flair, customer service, all the things that you normally personally add to your brand. You can still do that alongside with using ChatGTP or AI in your process.
So now, did I'm assuming someone invented chat? Well, just artificial intelligence. Did some? I'm assuming someone invented it, right?
You
So
know, it was a black man. Come on now.
it was a black man. Why do you say that?
This is
Who
the part
invented
where
it?
I remark with you. This is another big part of where we move up as we move up in society. We start paying more attention to the people who originated, right? And I am so down with telling people all the time, like it's great that we're wanting to move forward, but as long as we remember where we came from, then we'll better appreciate what we have right now, which is why I am so impressed and very energetic about using things like AI and Chat GTP on a regular basis because I know that there was a person behind me, specifically a person of color, that worked their butts off to make this work. Now, mind you, that person and several other ones have come out now and like it's more advanced, it's getting bigger than what we thought it was going to be. That to me is just a sign that we are in a place where we have to figure out where do we want to go, right? We're at an impasse. And a lot of people, again, with the scarcity of wanting to use this type of technology and wielding it in a more positive, directive way, it definitely creates a lot of friction between people who want to use technology for good and people who just think the technology overall is not a good fit for America or people or humanity at its best. So I think there's definitely some apples to oranges in there, right?
Well, I mean, what you know, I didn't even know that it was that a black man invented this, but and then that seems to be the rhetoric is that, oh, I invented this wonderful thing for this original purpose, but now it's multiplying, and it's sort of like I created the monster, like, oh, and like Frankenstein, like, oh, I created this monster, and then now
Yes.
Frankenstein is destroying all these towns and is acting on its own. It's like, oh my god. So it's like I created this thing, and now this thing can act on its own, and now so many people are using this thing, and now it's out of hand, and now I invented it for something good, but of course, evil people got a hold of it, and they're using it for their own purposes, and now it's multiplying, right? Because as it gets in more hands,
Yes.
it's being used for more intentions, and therefore it's multiplying. So and that seems to be the common perception, like, whoever invented it had a smaller, nicer purpose, and then but it gets into all these hands, and now it blows up, and it's this thing that you can't control anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like, wasn't it some tech companies were like, okay, we can't use AI anymore? Yeah, yeah, we
Mhm.
created it, yeah, we put it forward, but now we can't use it anymore because now it's too big.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let me also be clear on that topic. Like, let me make sure I said this right. Sam Altman is the creator of ChatGTP. I just want to
Yes,
make sure we say that. But
yes,
AI was a different story. So I want to make sure the curators get their proper dues.
yes.
Um, I just want to make sure, like, when you share that, of course, there's going to be moments, even in my, in even in my own background, coming up in graphic design, coming up in digital media. There's a lot of things that we do in our careers and a lot of things we do along our path where it's kind of like we strayed a little bit, right? Is this really going in the direction that we wanted to go in? In this realm of tech, I think it's really in for me, it's almost like an everlasting, I'm a huge Trekkie fan. Let me just rephrase this. I love being on this journey, right? It's like infinite, it's beyond, it's all the things. It's it's a strange new world that we're kind of being in right now. So I love that it's kind of like this really cool destination, unknown charted waters that we're going into with technology. And knowing that we're going to go on this voyage, it really does open a lot of doors that swing both ways, right? Sometimes, and in a lot of ways, technology, again, wonderful, positive, empowering, challenging. And then you've got the door that swings the other way, which is it's defamation. It is stealing. It is, in a lot of areas, covering up a lot of things. There's just a lot of areas, dark and gray areas, right, that come along with that exploration. But I really feel like deep down, overall, AI is doing the long run, right? We're in it for the long end game. This is not going anywhere. AI is never going to desist at this point that we know of. And I really feel like in a lot of areas when we talk about using AI for good, then we have more positivity and a little bit more wraparound around where we're coursing ourselves, especially specifically with how we want to look at ourselves, how we want to do our jobs, but also, again, looking beyond that, right? We talk about using words, using language, using tone, using faces to create something else. And so I do believe at one point we're going to have this really deep down, come to earth ethics deal. We're going to have to come to terms with that more sooner than later. But I do once again kind of go back to this. Yes, we're going to have moments that's going to be ugly, but are we going to let that slow the rest of this voyage down?
Hmm. So, how does artificial intelligence work exactly? Like, what are the mechanics of it?
Okay, so this is where it gets kind of geeky. Just so everybody knows. So when we talk about like AI being again that field of science, this is where we're using data sets specifically to kind of break down information and then reframe it in a different way so that we better understand how it works and how it breaks down. So AI again can be used in a lot of different ways, but primarily when we talk about using these data sets and these data fields, is collecting and inputting data, regurgitating that data, and then sending it back out in a different way. I want you to kind of think of it kind of like television, if you will. Imagine even like Willy Wonka, if you're a Wonka fan and you're watching Wonka Vision, right? You're taking the image of something, the particles are going up in the air and they're moving, and it gets kind of regurgitated into a different set of data, if you will. In this case, it was the little boy in Willy Wonka. He got a lot smaller. So I really want to kind of keep that kind of visual in mind because that's really how AI in a lot of ways kind of works in a more very watered down way. But that's kind of what I would tell people for AI, like how to best understand how that works.
So, it's sort of like you're collecting data. So, you're taking like words that people say,
Mhm.
um, you know, cultural phrases, um, the way people describe things, and it's all kind of going into, um, it's all kind of being put together in this blob of cloud. I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know how to
being
say it.
formatted like kind of like
Yeah.
a supercomputer, right? We talk about the
It's
cloud. Willy Wonka may have popped that bubble a long time ago. That like being able to be processed and managed in a way that's easier for us to attain it. That it also makes it more digestible for us to understand. So that's the reason why I love AI so much because it can take heavy, rich data, things that are super heavy for us to comprehend and understand, and make it a little bit easier and more streamlined for us to access.
mm. So now, what about the talk about um that it's I don't want to say it's that it's racist, but like and we got to talk about race, of course.
Yes.
But what's the your thoughts about it's I don't know what it's I got to figure out the words to say it. But not that it's racist, but that it's it seems to favor, um, or it doesn't recognize uh, black voices, people of color. It doesn't recognize dark skin. I
Oh
remember
yeah.
watching some um, watching a clip about like there's this app that asylum seekers have to use now, and they have to scan their face. But the ones that are of darker skin, it's not recognizing their face.
Mm,
Or like the water spouts and like the bathrooms where it's automatic, you put your hand under and the water comes out. It's something I heard about. It's not recognizing dark skin. So
wow.
what are your thoughts on that these things that are using artificial intelligence, it some of it doesn't recognize dark skin tones, it doesn't recognize like deeper voices that people of
Black
color don't
culture.
have, black culture. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I totally agree. I'll give you another example as well. Canva, their image to text. When we talk about asking it to produce bantu knots, and we ask it to produce braids or crochets of any kind, or texture of black hair, it struggles. Why? Because there's not been enough input for it to figure it out. And you would think after everything that all these text to image generators have started to create and all the input that has come in through these generators, you would think that it would be absolutely like to a T understanding exactly the difference between a bandeau knot and a crochet braid. But it doesn't. And that's kind of been a recent post recently in social media. It's been trending that some of these generators are not as accepting or understanding of explaining or showcasing these type of things that we look for on a regular basis, right? I do believe that's something that I feel like it's two things. One, obviously it's an input issue. And why is there a lack of input issue in this area? That's the biggest question. If we can absorb everything else, why are we not absorbing that? Right? We're acknowledging that. And then two, the other part is um it's a part of systems, which is what is what is keeping that from happening, right? What is keeping that from happening? And so these are the questions that I would ask anyone who is on the other side of this, right? Who are maybe filtering through the information. These are the human eyes that are going through these generators and depicting as to what whether or not this is something they want to include or not include. Um, the computers have to be set, right? They have to be set in order to share this information. So why are they not as accepting in this area specifically? So yeah, I completely acknowledge that there's a lot of areas there that are gray, that are still things still to be determined, and clearly there's an area where we need to focus more on all cultures, all hues, all races to be included in a lot of these generators so that it puts out actual relevant information that we can use.
So now the intention, so do you think the intention of the people who invented artificial intelligence was, is it just that it just so happened to be invented by white people and therefore reflective of white people, and it kind of just happened that way, or was it intended to be racist?
I don't think it's intended to be racist. I do think it's intended to reflect a larger demographic, and that demographic didn't always include us.
Mm. Tell us more.
I was like, oh, she's gonna ask. I just feel like when Sam and his team and all the things created like ChatGTP, when a lot of these generators that are, let's just be very honest, are very white led, it's not going to be as reflective of everything else. Maybe their intentions maybe are in the right place as far as the technology goes, but the span of the reflection of the world isn't always included in that process. And I feel like from a science perspective, for me, it just seems like you want to guzzle up as many different perspectives, as many different things that you possibly can to make it work better. And I do believe over time it has. However, there is still plenty more to go as far as being a true reflection of all different hues, races, colors, all the things. So again, technology is in this birth stage, right? We're just now starting to start this voyage. We're just now starting to explore new universes and new cosmoses. It's just a matter of whether or not we're going to allow a certain type of negative experience prevent the rest of the voyage from continuing.
So now what do we do? So is it now our responsibility as people of color to put out more things or to increase their input, or is it the responsibility of, I guess, the powers that be to collect more input from people of color? Whose responsibility does it fall on?
I think it definitely falls a little bit on mostly on the generator. I don't think it's our fault. We're just sitting black and pretty. But I think it's really interesting that these generators choose not to acknowledge areas where they could better enhance how these things could work better for people of color. I think that's extremely important. These are areas where these conversations that we're having right now are so crucial and important because it alerts people upstairs. It alerts the generators. It alerts the AI listening to our conversations that we need to do more in this area, and by all of us using more of it more often, this is where the collaboration part comes in. By us using it more often, by us prompting it more often, alerts these supercomputers to let them know, hey, this is something of importance, this is something we need to pay attention to. The more we give it that volume to look in that direction, the more it will pay attention, and whether human or bot, it has no other choice but to acknowledge it.
So it's you're kind of saying it falls on both of us, and that we ourselves, as as people of color, no matter what ethnicity you are, we have to use technology more, because I think we're also a little bit more skeptical and fearful about technology, I think, as people of color. But so we have to use it more. We have to make that imprint a little bit more so that the computers can pick it up more. But then also the computers need to pick it up more, right? So it's not, you're going to certain places where there's a lack of diversity, right? So you would have to expand your reach
Mm-hmm.
so that you can reach people of color, and to reach to reach different ethnicities. So if what I'm saying is correct, it sounds like it's on both of us. It's on both
Yeah.
sides of the
I
aisle.
feel like it's a working collaboration, just like any other brand, right? Like a brand can only do so much without the people that help feed it. And I feel like in a lot of ways, that's what we're choosing to do with in these areas. And we talk about texture of hair, we talk about the details that it needs. We have to give it that perimeter a little bit harder. We have to let them know this is important to us, just like we would in a lot of areas of social justice, right? We get overlooked a ton. There's a whole history of us being overlooked and discriminated against. But the only way that we can start acknowledging that is by making it known that we shouldn't do it, or we should do it, or in this case, making it known that we want to have those textures of hair. We want to see more people of color. If we don't talk about it, no one's going to pick up on it except for the AIs that are listening to us, which is not enough.
Are they listening to us? Are they listening to our phone calls and reading our emails?
I mean, and it depends on what you're using it for. I feel like in a lot of ways, I mean, that's already coming. The way that ChatGPT is built into our email generators now, it's finishing our sentences. It's completing our draft emails. It's already highlighting the headers and subject lines of our emails. It's checking. At first, it was just checking for grammar, and now it's checking for everything else. Did you include a picture? Did you include a sincerely or regards at the end of your email? Did you address the person that you wanted to address? It's already here. It's just a matter of how do we want to associate, how do we want to embrace, and then how do we want to make changes based upon what we're experiencing.
Interesting, interesting. Well, this was very informative, and I'm going to start to bring things now to a close. But in all my shows, I like to ask my guests words of wisdom that they'd like to impart. So, Danielle, do you have any words of wisdom that you'd like to share with our audience?
Absolutely. Again, I tell people all the time, technology is a good thing. I know there's a lot of push on that, but tech for good. Tech for good can create a lot of impact in the world, and that's really the goal here, is creating the right impact to create the right changes that we want to see. And so if enough people get behind that change, infinite possibilities along the voyage toward wherever we're going. So that's my main advice, is definitely using tech for good.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you for your words of wisdom. Thank you for coming back on Hot Topics. Thank you for diving deep into this conversation with me. And we're going to promote your brand right now. All right, you guys. So, so Danielle Meadows-Stinnett, did I pronounce your name right?
Yes, absolutely.
Meadows-Stinnett. So she has a plethora of accounts, you guys. So I want you guys to take heed, and I want you to follow every single one. All right, so you can visit her on the web. She has two websites. All right. So one is www.lexoctane.com.
Yep.
The second website is kentuckycreatives.com. So I want you guys to go to both of her websites and reach out to her to learn more about her brand. Then she has three Facebook accounts. So one is Octane Designs, the other one is Kentucky Creatives, and the other one is MTG the podcast. So I want you guys to go to all three Facebook accounts, and I want you to follow her as well. I also would like it's gonna take a while, but the Instagram as well. She also has three Instagram accounts. So one is again Octane Designs,
Mhm.
I believe, and then the other Instagram. I'm just gonna wait for it to come up on the screen. All right. So the second one is KY Creatives, and
Mhm.
the third one is MTG the podcast. So after you follow her three Facebook accounts, then I want you to follow her three Instagram accounts. She's also on Twitter as Octane Designs, and she also has her LinkedIn account. Is there anything I missed?
No, you got it all. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I am so excited to mix and mingle with any and all of you.
Of course, of course. So make sure you follow her on all of those accounts, you guys, and make sure you go to her websites. Well, what can you tell us about your business so people like know who you are, what you do?
Sure. Octane is a 13-year-old digital marketing and branding firm based right here in the heart of the Bluegrass. It consists of 7 women across 5 countries, and I'm really proud that I've been able to grow this brand into several other verticals that are right underneath us. So we have lots of little brands underneath, like Kentucky Creatives, our influencer marketing group, as well as MTG the podcast, which is our Women in Tech podcast, specifically for women in tech and women creatives, to kind of let their hair down and just simply be amazing in tech.
All right. Pretty. So is it like one-on-one consultations? Is it a product? What do you?
Absolutely. So our main goal is to provide digital marketing and branding services. So we love being able to create logos, fully brand out your business from a logo to a website. Maybe you're launching a new podcast. We love covering podcasts. So we do everything from podcast production, editing, and branding. And then, of course, if you maybe have a business or a small brand that you would like some influential marketing around, we cover that too. So we love being able to service you in all three of those areas.
All right. So if you guys are looking to put together a podcast or you're looking to develop your brand in any way, hit up Danielle. All of those accounts are at the bottom of your screen right now for anyone watching on video. But if you are listening to this on a podcast, do not fret. All of this information will be in the description. Oh, and we got another comment here. Thank you, Gabrielle and Danielle, for sharing information.
Awesome.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you for that comment.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. So make sure you get all of this information. Again, make sure you go to the two websites, lexoctane.com and kentuckycreatives.com. Hit her up on Facebook, all three Facebook accounts. Then go to Instagram, hit up all three Facebook accounts. Get her on Twitter and get her on LinkedIn as well. And before I go, you have a podcast. Please tell us about it.
All right. So the More Than Graphics podcast is literally a digital safe place for women in tech and women creatives. It is serves as a finding your tribe, right? We always have an issue, us ladies, especially ladies of color, finding our safe places in our tribe. So this is a digital space where we do that. We bring on guests, one-on-one experts on the show to talk about different aspects of things that happen in and around the tech and creative fields. And then a lot of times we have themed conversations. This one in July is Fire and Ice, where we talk about hot topics for women in tech and creatives. And then the second half will be ice topics, cold topics around
Mm.
women in tech and women creatives. And so we're excited to host that both in Clubhouse and in LinkedIn audio events.
And where can people find it?
It is on Clubhouse at MTG the podcast. And for LinkedIn, you can just follow me and I will have all those updates directly on our page.
All right, there you go. And is it on other podcast platforms as well?
Anywhere you listen to podcasts, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio. We're everywhere. So wherever you listen.
All right, there you go. And what's the name of the podcast?
The More Than Graphics podcast. And it's literally my life mantra because my business hashtag is hashtag More Than Graphics.
All right, there you go. So you guys, make sure you follow her podcast, the More Than Graphics podcast. Check it out wherever you get your podcast, your favorite platform. She also said it's on LinkedIn, so hit her up on LinkedIn. You'll pick it up there as well. And it's also on Clubhouse, you said?
Yes, I love Clubhouse. We love it. A lot of people follow us there. But LinkedIn's been our game changer lately. It's really helped us grow the platform and have more visibility there. So join us in either place.
All right, there you go. So you heard it from her, you guys. Make sure you follow her podcast. Don't just listen to it, but actually subscribe to the podcast as well.
Yes.
All right. So, Danielle, thank you again for coming back on Hot Topics. This was fabulous.
I love it. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Of course. All right. So thank you, Danielle, for that. And now, where's my banner? All right. It is closing time. All right, you guys. So that was very informative what we learned today. And I just want to take a moment to remind you guys that Hot Topics is a production of my company, A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you are, we didn't even talk about students using ChatGPT to write papers, but we didn't even mention that. But maybe next time. But anyway, if you or your child are in need of any tutoring services, whether it's in person or virtual, hit us up. Our website is www.astepAheadtutoringservices.com. Our in-person services, we serve the New York City area. But if you're not in New York City, as this podcast has a far reach, do not fret. We also do virtual services as well. We also do virtual tutoring. So hit us up wherever you are in the country or even the world. Hit us up. The website again, www.astepAheadtutoringservices.com. We do one-on-one tutoring. We do editing and proofreading. We do test prep, college counseling. We're dabbling into tutoring consultations as well. So if you're looking to start a tutoring business and you're looking to get started, hit us up as well with that. We're dabbling with that service as well. So if that's where you fall, make sure you reach out to us as well. You can also find us on social media. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and I feel like I'm forgetting one. But wherever, we're in a lot of different platforms. So check us out on social media. Just type in A Step Ahead Tutoring Services and we will pop up. Look for the pencil icon with the black and gray tip at the bottom of it. So that is us. I also encourage you to check us out, Hot Topics, on any podcast platform. While you may be watching this on video or listening to this on a podcast already, I just want to reiterate that we are a podcast. So make sure you subscribe to our show, Hot Topics, wherever you are listening to this right now. So stay in touch with us, you guys. And finally, don't forget to let us know your thoughts about this topic today. Drop a comment in the comment section below or in the comment thread. Drop a rating. Let us know your thoughts about the topic today. It helps our algorithm and the AI bot to picking it up. So drop a comment, you guys. Drop a comment in the comment section, wherever you are taking in the sound of my voice, whether it is on video or you're listening to this on a podcast. Let us know your thoughts about this episode for today. All right, you guys. Ooh, when I do all this talking, my throat just dries up. But yes, thank you again for joining me on Hot Topics. I look forward to you joining me at the next episode. Thank you again. And now I am signing off. Bye, you guys.